Hello, and welcome to the Business Confessional for July 3rd, 2022. My name's June Morrow, and I help people find and express their authentic voice in their marketing so they can connect with more of the people who need them, and everyone on this planet can feel a little less alone. And in this series, what I do each week is I talk about what I did to build my business or specific lessons that I'm learning in my life that have a tie over in business. This week, the thing that's really hitting me hard is this idea about going for what you want, all of what you want, and waiting until you get what you want. And this is related to negating our desires as women, which is another theme that's been coming up. And they're kind of interplaying. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean. So, 2 weeks ago, I bought a bike. I really wanted a bike. I didn't have a bike here. I gave away my old bike when I moved. So I just moved to Charlottetown. I gave away my old bike. So I really wanted a bicycle. And I'd been looking online for a used one because I want to recycle and also it's cheaper. And I thought I found one. So I was very excited. I was like, is it the right size? Is it not? I went to meet this guy at the shopping mall to get the bike. When I showed up, and I was ready to take the bike, and when I showed up, he had the bike, but it had a flat inner tube. And it wasn't quite the right height. It looked good, but it wasn't quite the right height. It had a flat inner tube. It was pretty clunky. The chain was pretty rusty. But here's the thing. This is what I did. And sometimes we do this. I'd driven all the way there. I had the cash in hand. I wanted a bike. I was prepared to get a bike. So I took the bike, even though it probably wasn't the best bike. Then I got it home thinking I can fix up the bike myself. And of course I couldn't. It needed a new inner tube. It wouldn't pump up. Some of the gears were like shifting not right. So I wound up taking the bike to a bike shop where I got a tune up and I needed a new inner tube. I needed a new chain. I needed some other things. And the bike in the end, even though it's working now, wound up costing me double what I paid for it initially. So I paid 150 for the bike. I paid 150 for repairs. So I wound up buying a $300 bike, which if I'd taken that money and gone somewhere and gone a little more high end and maybe tried to save, I wouldn't have had to do all this, right? But I settled. I settled because I wanted to check this item off my list. I wanted a bike and I thought, I'll make it happen. I'll try and control the situation. This happens in business too. It happens when you hire someone who isn't exactly the right person for your business. It happens when you get into a program that isn't exactly what you want, but you think, oh, it's good enough. I'll make do, right? Are you making do? This is a question for you this week. Are you making do with something that you said yes to because you thought it's good enough? Because when you don't, when you hold out for what you really want, you actually get it. So here's another story. Before I moved here to the island, I was looking online and I thought, I'm self-employed. Might be risky to, it might be hard to find someone who's going to take someone who's self-employed, someone who's from away, as a landlord. So I was looking for a place to rent, and I didn't think that my chances of finding a place were very good. And this is just because I was basing it on what I knew about Ontario landlords. And I thought, they're going to want me to be fully employed and not self-employed and all this stuff. So I went online and I started looking for apartments. And I actually found an apartment. I found an apartment and they did a credit check and they offered me the apartment. And the apartment was, I think it was around $1,600 a month. 1600, yeah, $1,600 a month. It was right downtown. It was good location, but it didn't have a backyard. And they had a no pets clause. A lot of the apartments here have no pets clause, so it's very hard for people who want pets. I don't have a pet, but I'm getting a pet for sure next year. Um, so I was like, okay, well, I better take it. But then I started looking around and I was like, okay, some places you can get a home, an entire home in the city for the same price as this two-bedroom apartment. And my intuition said, wait, you can find something bigger. You can find something that will let you take pets. You can find something with a backyard. You can find something that has more of what you want. And so I said, they offered me the apartment, and they sent me the lease. And that same day, I listened to my intuition. I said, no, I'm going to go for what I really want here. right? Because part of my whole purpose of being here is to go for what I really want. It's a little bit of a do-over. So that very day, as soon as I said no and decided I was going to keep looking for some place that had more of what I want, that very day, this very house, an entire two-bedroom house, was listed for the exact same price as the apartment. And of course, this house has a huge backyard. The owners are pet friendly, which is really unusual here. Um, so it's a pretty sweet deal. And I contacted them right away. I thought, oh, no way. This is like a really cool little house. They're not going to give it to me. And literally, that day we did a video tour, we did a walk around, and within a couple days, I'd signed the lease. So listen to your intuition. Hold out for what you want. And don't be afraid that you can't get it. This is what I am learning. Really be clear about what you want. And once you're clear, know what's super important to you, like having a bike that works, for example, and hold out for that. Don't just go for, I want to check it off my list. It's available now and it's good enough, right? We all know what happens when you date somebody who's good enough. Eventually they're not, right? Like I wrote a song about this. It's, I want Mr. Blows My Mind, not Mr. Good Enough, right? Give yourself permission to have what you want. Sometimes this is hard for us. On Canada Day, I was playing in a drum jam, so hand drums. I was playing in a drum jam in Victoria Park in Charlottetown here. And there were extra drums around, and all day little kids were coming and playing the extra drums. Like, so it was so much fun watching kids discover drumming and bang on them. And what I noticed, and this was telling, I think this says a lot about girls, how girls are raised even today, about something that women do. What I noticed is the little boys, and I'm talking boys between the ages of like 5 and maybe 8 or 9, right? Boys who wanted to play the drums, they would come up and they would just start playing. They wouldn't care if they were like off key, like if they weren't in, the rhythm wasn't right or that there wasn't permission or they weren't doing it right. They'd just come up and they would start playing. They were like, fun, I want to do it, I'm going to go for it. Little girls, I would see little girls walk by and they'd be like, drums, ooh, I want to go play. Oh, I don't know, am I allowed to play? Is it okay to play? And they'd be super tentative. They wouldn't give themselves permission to do what they want because they thought, is it okay? Am I going to be good at it? And they would come up and they'd be like this, tap, 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 hee, and then they'd run away, right? They wouldn't give themselves permission to do what they wanted. And I know this because inside I have done this like a lot in my life. I've wanted something and I haven't given myself permission to do it. And we all do this, right? We feel like it's not safe. And maybe this is something that women, girls are taught still, that it's not safe to do certain things. It's not safe to like go up to strangers and play their drums, right? In a park, even though adults are all around and your mom is with you. Um, Maybe that's what it comes from. But even things like, like your intuition tells you I should go talk to this person. Your intuition says, I want to do this thing. And this idea of doing this thing really lights you up. But then immediately part of your brain starts negating that and saying, no, that's not okay. And I'll tell you, like later on in Canada Day, because I'm working on being a really good friend to myself, I was out alone watching one of the bands and I really wanted to dance, right? But nobody else was dancing. I was all alone. But I said to myself, it's okay, little June. Okay, like inner child June. I got your back. We're going to dance together, right? Even though it was just me. And just saying that, I got your back. We're going to dance together. I'm here with you. I was able to get up and I danced and I had a really fun time. So this is just some food for thought for you this week. Is there something that lights up your heart when you think about it that you really want to do, but then your head kicks in and goes, that's not safe. I'm going to get in trouble, or I'm not good enough to do that. I have to be better to do that or to bring it to public, right? Is this something you're doing? And can you give yourself permission to just go for what you want, to own your desires, to allow yourself to have pleasure? This is another thing. I've been on Kate O'Connor's Facebook group, Queen Up Your Life, and she talks a lot about pleasure. I'm reading a lot about pleasure, a lot about feminine energies recently, and it's all about owning our pleasure, owning our desire. What is it that you want? And what is it that maybe you've been settling for or you're about to settle for? Is there a decision you're making where you're like, no, that's not really what I want. What I actually want is, and that's a good question, right? Instead of what you want, what do you actually want? Because saying what you actually want is going to tell you what you actually want, as opposed to saying, well, I want because this is what I'm allowed to want. So, some food for thought around your business. Um, a lot of this is about tapping into your intuition. This is something Rachel Benton and I, who I interviewed last month, are doing a workshop this month on July 21st, all about accessing your intuition for your marketing. So maybe in your business, right? Are you doing what you actually want, or are you doing what you think you should want, or what it's okay to want, or what someone has told you will work, or what model is proven as opposed to what you actually want? Go for what you actually want, right? In your marketing too. Are you doing what you actually want, or are you trying to fit into somebody else's idea of what you should want? And there is a difference. And I know for myself, I'm really this summer going to be focusing a lot on what do I actually want. Doing this video series was something I actually wanted to do for a long time and kept talking myself out of, oh no, you can't be that vulnerable. That's not safe. But you know what? It is safe and it helps other people feel safe. So this week, go for what you actually want, because I will be doing the same. And if you're interested in that workshop on intuitive marketing, I will put the link below. If you'd like to learn more about me and how to work with me and what programs, I have a program coming up this fall called the Authentic Messaging Academy, which will help you find your authentic voice in your marketing, as well as get the structure around that so that you know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, where to say it, and how to do this in a way that feels very natural to who you are, right? Not something that feels like you're trying to be somebody else. If you want to know more about that, I'll put the link below and you can contact me at any time. Thank you. Enjoy your first week of July. You got this. Now go forth and get what you actually want. Own those desires, girls.